Party people, welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week on the show, I am joined by Jen Blundell for a game of The Station. The Station is a GM-less world-building game where players take turns answering prompts about a train, a station, and its people. The Station explores how places shape people, and people shape places in the vein of I'm Sorry, Did You Say Street Magic by Caro Assertion and The Quiet Year by Avery Alder. The Station uses no dice. Instead, players draw cards and answer genre-agnostic questions to build a world together, and when their time is up, they'll collaborate to bring the game to close in a bittersweet resolution, spending points to resolve the stories of some of the characters that you've collaborated on. Others will remain an open mystery. This game is so beautiful, and I really love the story that we told and the experience that we had playing it. I think it's something truly special. You can learn more about The Station at Pidge, that's pidj.itch.io, or check the show notes for more information. Jen is a podcaster and one of the hosts of Roll Plus Heart, an anthology-style actual play TTRPG podcast with a focus on indie rules-like game and roleplay, with a clear focus on queer identity and emotional storytelling. If you like the kind of self-contained anthology storytelling that we do on Party of One and the real focus on beautiful, personal, intimate role-playing experiences, I think that you'll really adore Roll Plus Heart. You should absolutely go and check it out. And you can, of course, find more information about the show at rollplusheart.co.uk. Or you can check the show notes for more information. But first, hey party people, Present Jeff here with the weekly roundup, a quick hit update on all the cool stuff that we have going on. Party people, something very cool just dropped on Patreon that whether you are a current patron or you're thinking about joining, you should go and check out. And that is Batman Bump in the Night. Batman Bump in the Night is a brand new actual play series produced in collaboration with myself and dear friend of the show, Marn Lastname, in which we are pitching each other a supernatural themed Batman comic one issue at a time in the Dragon Ball Uber playground bullshitting style. Our Session Zero world building episode just dropped on Patreon. You can find that at patreon.com/JeffStormer. New episodes will drop every month, and frankly, I'm really excited. And that's all I've got for you this week, so with that, let's get back to the show. And with all that said, let's go ahead and throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. I am really so excited. I'm sitting down with Jen Blundell today. Jen, thanks so much for coming on Party of One.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited for today's recording. I've been sitting thinking about this all day. I'm feeling the good energy, the good vibes. Before we get to talking about what we were playing this week, why don't you let our lovely listeners at home know about anything you've got going on you might want them to know about?
Sure. My name is Jen Blundell, and you can find me on two actual play podcasts, Roll Plus Heart and Quest Fantastic. Roll Plus Heart is a queer anthology-style actual play podcast, which means we play lots of different games and we use them to tell implicitly queer stories. We mostly play one-shots, including some GM-less games, and we mix that in with some mini-campaigns of about 5 to 6 episodes. Games we've played include Thirsty Sword Lesbians, Kids on Bikes, Kids on Brooms, Brindlewood Bay, and a whole bunch of one-shots by Grant Howitt, Megan Cross. Lots of very cool people. If you want a recommendation for where to start with our back catalogue, I would recommend starting with our one-shot of Sail the Oceans Queer, which I'm particularly fond of. I think it really perfectly captures our vibe and what we're all about. And my other show is Quest Fantastic, which is a long-form actual play podcast. Our first season was Dungeons & Dragons, which was just shy of 50 episodes. We finished that one in December, and we're just starting our second season where we're playing Orbital Blues, which is a space cowboy adventure set in a dystopian, sort of hyper-capitalist future galaxy space. It's very cool. I'm very excited to get into this game, and I'd recommend starting at the beginning of either of those stories. So if you want to find me on other things, Roll Plus Heart and Quest Fantastic.
I listened to the Roll Plus Heart game of Broken that y'all played and was head over heels the entire time.
I loved that game. Oh my gosh, it genuinely broke me.
It's such a special game,
it
and
really is.
The game that y'all told of it was so just absolutely magnificent.
Thank you.
It's really very good.
Thank you.
This is one of those moments where I'm like, journalist Jeff should find an insightful and specific thing to say, when really the answer is just like, it made me feel things and was good.
I can tell you it made me and Helen came out of that game being like, I feel we have been in a long-term relationship with each other and have broken up. And that's not true. It was just such a good game for really making you examine those feelings and get deep into them. It was fantastic.
It's really like, and it showed me, it spoke a lot to like what I think makes the show so, or makes your show so special, is that like it truly illustrated, like the two of you dove so into it. Like it is easy to, when you're playing a game with that sort of emotional intensity, hold back a little bit, or like or like not give it 100%. And I think that's an understandable impulse when a game is sort of asking you to be so exceedingly vulnerable and so painful, and kind of like, for lack of a better way to put it, like intentionally put one another through it, and like to really dive in head first, I think is I think it's the difference between like a good story and like a really powerful, impactful one like the one that y'all told.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I'm just really lucky that the people I play with are such good friends that I trust them. We all trust each other so much and just get each other's whole shtick that we can play these sorts of games with each other and just be like, we're going to get real with each other right now and come out of this and have some feelings.
I mean, I'm glad that you and I have the same experience, because if you'd asked me to sum up Party of One, I'd say the exact same thing.
Cool. Good.
And speaking of, we are playing a game today. We are playing The Station by Pidge Sorensen. For a long time, no trains have stopped at the station. But changes in the air, soon a train will arrive, and when it does, the game will end. This is a game about the impacts of places and people on each other, and we are going to collaboratively answer prompts and discover characters, station, and train. I'm so excited. What are you excited about heading into today's game?
Oh, I just really love, well, first, trains are cool.
Trains are cool.
Trains are cool. I just enjoy riding trains whenever I can. They're the best mode of transport. Secondly, I really love little role play, like little world building games. And I love that the inspirations that they list for this game are The Quiet Ear and I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic? Which is a fantastic title. But
it's my favorite. It's my favorite game title of all time.
Yeah, it really is superb, and it's also such a great little game. I just love games that really allow you to sort of zoom in on one little place at one little time and examine how all the people relate to each other in this space, and then you put a train into the mix. Perfect.
It's got everything. It's got
it
little
really
moments. It's got people relating to each other. It's got a train. What more can you possibly ask for?
Possibly nothing. It's perfect.
I have to be cool about like how much I love trains is the thing. like this listener, Jen, this is me tempering my love of trains, and I'm holding it together.
Let it go. Let it go, Jeff.
That's fair. That's fair. You're right. You're right. I was just saying that the key to this moment is to really throw ourselves into it.
Absolutely.
Trains really do fucking rip.
Be vulnerable about trains today.
All right.
Yeah.
So we have a deck of playing cards in front of us. How this is going to work is that we are going to draw cards. Each time we draw a card, there is an associated question. We each start out with 3 points. Each turn, we can either draw a card and answer the prompt on the card, or we can spend 2 points and prompt the other player with like a specific bespoke question.
Yes.
Certain cards, as we draw them, will give us additional points, or we can hold on to those points and sort of like push them towards resolving character stories at the very end. And we are going to play until we get to some number of the aces or twos in the deck. Once we've drawn a certain number of cards, the train progression cards specifically, the train will arrive and the story will end.
Yes.
Traditionally, we would name how many cards we want to see before the game ends. But for our purposes for the podcast, we're gonna once we pass 2 or 3, we'll check in after each subsequent ace to just see how we're feeling.
Yeah.
And then if we're ready to wrap things up, we'll wrap things up.
Yeah. Loosey goosey.
As we draw cards, we will assign questions and answers to either specific characters on the train station or like at the train station on the platform, either to the station itself, or to the train. So we're going to kind of group answers that way. So we'll meet the people that are in the platform. We will learn the qualities of the train and sort of the atmosphere of the station by assigning specific prompts to specific places.
Cool.
And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
That's sort of the vibe in a nutshell. It's very simple to explain. It's pretty straightforward. And would you like to answer the first question, or should I?
Oh, yes. I'm happy to go first. My first question, though, I have a first question for you outside of the game.
Yeah.
Is have we picked like a genre?
Oh, we have not picked like a genre. That's a great question.
Because I've been thinking, because
trains,
there's
thoughts?
so many. Well, no, I don't have a specific, specific choice, but I've been thinking about all the different types of trains, vibes that you can have for trains. So yeah, I was just wondering whether you, because I thought, I figured this game you could play it in any sort of way. You could do a train in a high fantasy setting. You could do train in a neon urban rainy city setting. You could do it in the future, you could do it in the past. So I wasn't sure what sort of if we wanted to pick a vibe or genre.
What are the genres and touchstones that what's the first genre touchstone vibe that pops into your head? I think what we'll do is maybe we each throw one out and see where we meet in the middle.
Yeah. I think my two strongest thoughts are either sort of, I mean, I live in the UK, right? So like very small, old, faded English town type vibes, or with somewhere that used to have a little railway with maybe like a steam engine that used to pull into it. That kind of little old faded glory town. Or on the complete opposite side, it's like, I've completely blanked on the name of the film. Harrison Ford.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. Thank you. You know what I mean.
I don't know how I got how I got just Harrison Ford Blade Runner. I feel very impressed by that, if I'm being honest.
Harrison Ford, and it's the opposite to a small English town. It's Blade Runner.
It's like I got there.
Yeah, I am impressed. Yeah, sort of, it's hyper urban, hyper futuristic, also kind of gritty. Because I feel this game lends itself to a sort of things are maybe not at their peak, because the train hasn't been for a while. So I'm feeling a sort of place that's maybe a little bit shabby around the edges. Either in a very futuristic sense or in a very sort of like rural, quiet town sort of sense.
I've got a straight down the middle pitch, the Jeff Stormer answer of it can be both, that like stands out to me.
Good.
And this is a detail that comes from like walking around the streets of Philadelphia where I live. Philadelphia is like notable for a lot of very old architecture. Like, it was the place of the First Continental Congress. Like, it is a place with like very prominent history to it.
Sure.
And so like a lot of the architecture, especially in like certain parts of the city, is like old 1700s colonial like architecture. Like, it is this very sort of like, it goes back to the earliest days of the country. And like the thing that I think about, the thing that I've noticed, especially in recent years, because everything sucks and is terrible, is I look very, very often at Market Street in Philadelphia, which is kind of like one of our main streets. Like, you walk along it and there are these very old colonial American buildings with gigantic neon bright cryptos, like the bright LED screen billboards that cycle between a bunch of like loud, obnoxious ads that blast a neon light onto the street. And it sucks, and I hate it, and it makes me upset whenever I see them. And B, like, there's such an interesting kind of aesthetic to that, of like the sort of bleak cyberpunk stapled onto this very old space.
Yes. Okay.
And so I guess the pitch that I'm kind of pointing towards is like, in a overwhelming mechanical Blade Runner city, there is this specific old-timey rundown train station that has not been
Sure.
torn down or touched in maybe years, maybe decades. Mm-hmm. But like it is this very like it is sort of rusted and a little bit grown over, and it is this entirely like forgotten piece or corner of the city.
Cool.
And so the question of like who is there, who is like in this space, who is come here, and why is there suddenly a train on this track where there has not been a train on this track in who knows how long, is a very interesting question for me.
Great. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that.
All right. All right. Well, in that case, let me draw you the first card and ask you the first question. So obviously there are no characters on the field, so we can assign things to the train or station, but if we assign things to characters, and we always have the option of either like assigning something to an existing character at the platform or making a new character who's also waiting. But obviously if there's no characters, then we're going to make a new character. I have drawn the Jack of Clubs, the Jack of Clubs prompt. And I think what I will do, if you've got the book in front of you, I think we'll have each person read the other person the question as I draw the cards.
Okay, cool.
So, describe an important moment in the station's history.
Oh, interesting. I guess, I mean, in the life of a train station, a major moment in the history would just be, I feel like it would be the ending of this station being used for something, like a particularly important delivery, or it being maybe that a nearby business shut down, like it used to, or nearby industry went, and that no longer did you have, all this steel from a nearby steel factory getting shipped out of that station, and so suddenly it lost all this revenue, and that feels like a tipping point of a station then just tipping into decline. And all these trains ending.
Can I throw a specific industry that I think adds a really interesting wrinkle?
Yes. Please.
Is it is it that the mail service no longer came through this station?
Yes. That's nice and sad. Yeah. When they maybe there was a large postal depot next door. And that got, the building probably just got ripped down and replaced, because it was a really good premium plot, got ripped down and replaced with a huge tower block that's like super shiny, covered in neon. And no longer did the station have any of this really useful trade. All the post going out, zipping out to the different parts of the city, going across the country. It goes from somewhere else now, or there's none, because everyone's now talking to each other via other means. Yeah, I like that.
I really, I love that, and the detail that that pops into my head when I hear you describe this giant steel tower that they put next to this train station is another detail that comes from walking around, which is like it is like an utterly incongruent building.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
Like there is no attempt or no like gesturing towards like matching the architectural style or like, and I think that kind of hangs true like as you walk the streets of the city outside of the station.
Yeah.
Buildings just look entirely different from like whatever massive metropolitan building firm constructed one building didn't bother to do anything different, like didn't bother to like look at what was next door, so it creates this very kind of overwhelming, almost like sensory overload sense of like looking at the architecture walking around the city.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely because there's ways to do it. There's little bits of London, for example, where you'll see an old church and then there's a more modern building next to it and you think, okay, yeah, that works. But in this one, they absolutely have everyone has built the biggest, shiniest, most garish building. And they all, it's like not thinking about like how it'll block the lighting for the next building or how much of an eyesore it's going to be and just too like oversized next to it. Yeah, I'm seeing very much that there's no planning, no town planning has happened around this station.
And then there's this one little tiny, like slightly decrepit, old-timey train station.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you read
Beautiful.
me the 10 of hearts?
I can. 10 of Hearts. Who staked their dream on the train's arrival?
Who staked their dream on the train's arrival? That is such a good question
know.
to introduce a character, and I gotta think about this. Who is in this train station, like, with a dream at this moment? I am going to... that's really genuinely like what a good question
I
to
know,
immediately
right?
kick things off. This is
It's
hitting.
such a good one because it promises. It speaks of so much sort of like hope. Someone with so much of an idealistic mind, maybe just waiting for something to happen, a chance to break free, maybe.
Yeah. There's some threads that I'm pulling on, and I'm also thinking about like the sort of purpose of this train as established in the final question. This is the organizer of like a mutual aid network in the city to like look after the city's underprivileged and marginalized communities. They are hoping that the arrival of this train can, whether it is just an official train that is coming by for the first time in a very long time, or if by some way upstream the train has been either taken or planted on the tracks or something, that this is an opportunity to get in place some kind of off the grid logistical supply transport.
Amazing.
There is a I'm going to name this person. Their name is Kaz Rex, and Kaz is hoping, Kaz is hoping that because this train depot is so kind of neglected and the train is so sort of rarely on the tracks, that it might be easy for it not to be noticed, which will make it easy for, the moving to the nature of a postal train information or like food and clothes and supplies and goods. Like this is an avenue for transit that is ignored and therefore open to getting things to people that need them quickly and quietly.
And cheaply.
And cheaply. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. I could definitely see this as being like, yeah, okay, very cool. Yeah.
All right. Next card is the 8 of Diamonds.
Okay.
The 8 of Diamonds. The prompt is, where is the station situated?
Okay. Well, I think we've also already sort of set it within, we know it's urban. We know it's in the center of lots of very large buildings. I feel maybe it's like the old heart of the town, like an area that, yeah, although with a postal depot, maybe it actually was more like what used to be a sort of not the very center of the town, just to the edge, but not the farthest out, but right where you'd start to get maybe some big warehouses. And it used to be a real sort of thriving, working industrialized, but busy community where there was a lot of work, there was a lot of community, there was a lot of people living nearby. And since then, that sort of urban creep has turned this into a sort of business district, but not necessarily the business district.
Sure.
Yeah, this sort of spread where places start to like blend into each other, and it's no longer there's a clear, that's the postal corner, or that's, I feel like it also used to get nicknamed something to do with the postal service. Like it probably had an official name for this. I think there might be a different prompt. Is there a different prompt for naming the station? But I feel like maybe there was a nickname in relation to the postal service and this area of town,
You just use the phrase the postal, and like there's something so it catches in the mind. There's something so interesting about like that as sort of like almost a neighborhood name, and there's a part of that is that to me that there's also a resilience to that as this building has stayed standing amidst the corporate sprawl of like, Oh yeah, I'm heading down. There's a party at one of the warehouses by the postal. Like it,
Yeah.
as a name, it evokes such a like history of this is where this one particular structure is, and it kind of informs the space directly around it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people do refer to the area as the postal. I think probably most people haven't connected that to why, but there is a small plaque somewhere in the station that will say, it'll be like, this is where the trains used to leave delivering mail from the postal depot next door. It used to serve, 20,000 people a day. And now everyone just sort of refers, it's one of those places that you just call it by its name and never think about the history of what was tied to why that place is called that. But now it's this little enclave of history sitting amongst these massive shiny buildings right on what was more on the edge of town but has probably become more central as time has gone by.
I really love that. Give me the 4 of spades.
4 of spades. Wonderful. What has delayed the train?
What has delayed the train is I am going to throw a little gasoline on the situation. There is not supposed to be a train arriving. We have said that the train arriving is such a long awaited thing. But like running with the thread a little bit from the answer about Kaz waiting here.
Yeah.
There is no train on the record.
Okay.
There is no train listed as arriving. Whatever is causing this, whatever is the reason, whatever has prompted this train to arrive was not intended, which means that there are both like logistical challenges in the train getting here and also a great deal of bureaucratic distress being caused by, hey, there's a train on the tracks. There's a train moving
excuse me,
up the
I'm
tracks.
getting news there's a train arriving. Have you got that on your schedule?
No, that is not on my schedule at all. That is not a thing that is supposed to be happening. And like, there's a great deal of, in sort of like the office, like the city offices, there's a great deal of people running from room to room with manila folders, like
Yes.
trying to figure out what is what is happening at this moment.
And whether they are to be blamed.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to make sure they're not going to get in trouble for this train arriving and shift the file onto someone else's desk. Absolutely, I love that. That's
Here's
very cool.
why I love games.
Yeah.
Is the thing. I drew the next card. And it's the 3 of diamonds, which is why do some of the community try to stop the train.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I love when just the nature of the cards that we draw and the prompts that we get just really move the story forward.
Oh, yeah. The game definitely said, stop just waxing lyrical about a pretty old building and give me some drama. Why do some people want to stop the train? Gosh. Why would you want to stop a train that might be coming in for mutual aid or some other rebel cause? Well, I mean, I don't know if they count as part of the community, but definitely the people up in the headquarters are trying to stop the train. But in the more local vicinity, I imagine look, this area has developed a lot. I imagine there's people with vested interests in not having this train station become operational again, not having... keeping up the value of their real estate in the area. So whether it's
and honestly, probably a vested interest in not having the train station. Like this is a great deal of real estate in what has become the city center. Like this is a particular piece of real estate in a place where people frequent. Like there's that is occupied by an old building and like an out of date rail museum. Like
I imagine it's a developer owner of a nearby property who's had their eye on the lot and has been trying to bid for it off whoever currently owns it, which is probably some sort of local council, I imagine, or some sort of trust that was established so long ago that it's really hard to like prize the property off them. And that's why no one's bought this lot yet. But they clearly have an eye on it and they want to make sure it's not getting used, that no one, trying to just disconnect the community from it and raise objections to any use, I think, of this station. So they've probably been anytime anyone's tried to do anything with it, they've probably been putting in complaints and objections. And I should give them a horrible company name. Just something that's... I'm going to just call them something like Peterson Inc. Because
Peterson Inc.
just these very generic, not Evil Incorporated, but just a very generic, one of these massive companies that probably has lots of little front companies to it anyway. And this is one arm of it. And this is the company that owns the building next door and wants to develop into the station area.
That's great. That rules. This game rips. I'm loving this.
Yeah, this is so fun.
Give me the King of Hearts.
King of Hearts. Describe a character with an adjective. So I guess create a character and give them an adjective.
I could give Kaz an adjective, but I think I want to put some more people on the station, on the platform.
We've got Kaz.
I'm going to put... Really mixing this up a little bit. I am putting down Merrick, M-A-R-E-K, they, them pronouns, and Merrick is bored.
Cool.
I think, given, how much drama there is around the arrival of this train, I'm interested in what what it means that there's also at least one person who is here that is markedly, bored.
Yeah.
That feels like such a, there's, on the one hand, it feels like that is, saying that someone is bored at a moment feels like such a weird pitch to throw in, but, there's so much drama around the arrival of this train that I want to, explore, what could also prompt someone to be in this space, but be, disinterested in the unfoldings.
Interesting.
And so we'll let that sit.
Okay, cool.
I read. Ooh, okay, great, good. We have our first train progression card.
Okay.
So you're going to receive 3 points.
Oh, wow.
Which you can use towards story resolution or to prompt your own original off of the card questions. And this is the Ace of Hearts, which is who first received news about the train's impending arrival.
Ooh. Feel like it might have been Kaz, considering that they're involved in the I feel like he's probably had a contact that has passed news down the chain to be like, hey, there's a train coming, and I think this is a really golden opportunity for us.
I like that. I really love that. That's great.
Yeah. I wonder if Kaz is really closely connected to the station, perhaps lives in a little flat somewhere upstairs.
Ooh.
I love a tiny flat in an old building.
I love a little flat. I love a flat, and I love a railway apartment. I love a good, and I have such a clear vision of this cramped little space, kind of maybe covered in, too much clutter for too small an apartment.
Absolutely.
And then a phone call comes in.
Yeah.
And it's just like train coming your way. And you sort of sit up in their I almost said bed, but it's a mattress on the floor.
It's a mattress on the floor. It's a mattress on the floor. I feel like every bit of wall is covered in posters, photographs, friends' artworks, more posters. There's probably minimal cutlery and plates except for a coffee machine, and a freestanding rack for clothes,
Yeah, I like this. I really love this.
And plants. Lots of plants.
A lot of plants. I feel
Lots
like
of
a lot of
plants.
potted plants and a very sort of incongruous, at least one cactus, which doesn't look like it, which feels very incongruous with sort of the energy of the rest of the city, but very one prominent
Somehow
cactus.
Kaz has made it live, and Kaz has got those green fingers, These plants are doing great. But yeah, definitely. Okay. So yeah, I feel like they probably had, and they've probably got still an old phone line that's connected to the train station phone line. I'm sort of imagining an I just want, whether this is practical or not in reality, I'm imagining a proper old corded phone on on a bench somewhere that that rings with a real old ringtone to it.
Yeah.
And it went off, and Kaz ran down and picked it up and got just a cryptic, "A train is coming."
I like that. I really love that. I adore that. Mm-hmm. Give me the 6 of diamonds.
6 of diamonds. Let's see. Who has just heard about the train?
This is Dexter Thomas.
Dexter.
Dexter is you know what this situation needs? Dexter's a journalist.
Yes, absolutely.
Dexter is a journalist for an online blog, any pronouns, and she is has caught the buzz on the back channels of like City Hall being like, why the fuck is there a train coming? Why the fuck is there a train coming? And has arrived to like document the scene. Like a lot of what we're seeing is like the reflected notes of this journalist like studying the scene as this weird, almost historic event occurs.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Dexter has definitely caught Kaz coming down out the building and has sort of been pestering them. And Kaz is like Kaz is very cool. I imagine Kaz is very cool. This is my feeling already. Very coolly sort of managed to brush stuff off. But I feel like Dexter's definitely hovering around the whole station. Just, I'm sure has probably also interviewed Marek, is sticking their nose in everywhere.
I like that. I really love that.
Yeah. Taking some photos. Yeah.
Our next card is the 9 of diamonds. So I will ask you, one character has quite a reputation. What for?
Oh, wow. I want to pull Marek back into it because I feel like Marek is like bored in a sort of eternal way. Where no matter what happens, Marek is maybe almost in a teenage sort of way. You know, where you have that teenage, just like you've become adult enough to start to realize what the world is. And just nothing is quite as good or golden as you were hoping for it to be.
Love that.
So Marek likes to kick around the station and whenever asked, does definitely declare that they are bored. And likes to sort of get into trouble and has a bit of a reputation. I'm gonna say probably for skateboarding on the tracks or for trying stunts out on bits of old, like beautiful old wooden banisters that happen to still be standing in the station hall entrance.
Sure.
Marek has.
I was 15 once. I remember.
Yeah, you get it, right? Marek is. Just jaded beyond their years, getting into trouble, and probably has filmed some of it at some point, which is why they've got a bit of a reputation.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And okay, that okay. I ask me the 8 of clubs. I was tempted to spend some points, but I'm going to sit with it and get a random card.
Okay. 8 of clubs. That one's clubs. What are the station's entrances and halls like?
We briefly kind of gestured towards something that I think I want to like really fully explore. Both because I think it sets up it amplifies sort of the conflict happening in the background, but also applies an aesthetic that I really enjoy. Okay. They are a museum.
Oh, yes.
Like this is not just an old kind of sort of semi-decrepit station. This is an old semi-decrepit station that is nominally maintained as a historical landmark / train museum.
Sure. Yes.
I say nominally because like it's still kind of overgrown. It's still kind of rusted. It's still not like nice or pretty. And crucially, it's also still locked after business hours.
Yeah.
But like there are, sort of dirty, scuffed up signs on the walls of like the history of the station. And there is a gift shop that should be open more often than it is, but it really isn't. Like there is often like it is. There are the trappings of a like train museum scattered about.
Great. Amazing.
All right.
Oh,
next
I love
card.
this museum.
Our next card is the Seven of Hearts. Who has ridden the train in the past and what for?
Ooh, who has ridden the train in the past? I'm going to introduce a character who runs, or at least volunteers to help run, the museum. Who's going to be old and remembers the train running frequently. And their name will be Claire Bartholomew.
Claire Bartholomew.
She, her. And she's been around in this area. She's lived in that area for a long time. So she remembers riding the train back when not only would there be lots of postal trains, but occasional passenger trains as well, when you could take the train off into the countryside. And so she remembers as a young child going with her parents out for a day trip. Oh, I'm going to say to the seaside. I'm going to say the train took them to the seaside. On one of the fewer, I think it probably ran postal services, but on one of the passenger trains, they took a day trip to the seaside. Her parents saved up, bought them tickets, and she just has a memory of going there, sitting on the stony beach. They bought her an ice cream. They wandered around, and then they went back, and she got back home, and it was way past her bedtime. And so she's always been a strong advocate for the return of the train station and keeping the building going and maintaining its history. And she loves to introduce people to posters. She loves her particular, the thing she loves most in the museum are the old posters advertising day trips. Because those were the posters that were put up that attracted her parents to taking them on the day trip to the seaside. And so she volunteers probably 3 days a week at this little museum, which is probably the 3 days a week that it's actually technically open at all. Or certainly the gift shop. And yeah, she volunteers her time, but just because she can't see it go, and she's one of the few old residents of the area who still lives there. There's probably some small, very nothing quite as old as the station, but some small apartment blocks in the area where there are still some old residents who've got protected leases, and she lives in one of those. I love Claire. This. I've got a whole life for her already. She's blossoming.
I just got to one of the joys of the show is I just get to sit back and listen. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah. Oh, Claire, what a life.
Give me the Three of Hearts as I visibly stress about the question that is being asked.
Oh no. Who will be worse off after the train arrives?
Worse off when the train arrives.
That's a difficult question.
That is a difficult question. I'm trying to decide if I want to introduce a character or honestly, I kind of think it's Claire.
Oh, Claire, yeah.
I think that if maintaining this train station is working at the train station, operating the museum, sharing the history of this space with people is something that is really important to Claire.
Yeah.
The arrival of this sort of rogue rebel train, for lack of a better way to put it, is going to make her life notably worse in a lot of different, in a very direct way, even if it is just that for the next several days there will be suits and adjusters and people poking around.
Yeah.
And the larger sense of it's it is going to, at the very least, be an administrative headache of getting in the way of doing what she loves, which is like taking care of and showing people around the station. Putting aside the larger concerns of like the attention that the city is going to put on this train station in this moment. Like there is a very prominent sense. So it's just going to like complicate her life in a way that she has kind of very consciously arranged her life and her story to be a little bit on the simple side. Like she's got her life, she's got her passion, she's got her space. She has done these things to give herself a sense of stability that is going to be shaken up in the days that follow.
Yes, I love that. Poor Claire. She had her routine and she loved it. And while she does want the station to come back to life, there's too much up in the air.
I like this. I love this a whole lot.
Oh, I feel so sorry for her.
I feel so bad. That's why I was like, maybe it's what we were saying at the top of the episode. Like the easy thing would be like, I'm gonna make a character and like take it away, but in reality, I was like, no. The right call is to lean into this. Lean in and throw myself at it.
Yeah, make life hard for Claire. Oh.
Our next card for you.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
I guess I should start asking. Do you want a card or do you want to ask a question?
So if I ask a question on my go, do you answer it?
Yes, you would ask.
Yes,
you would ask me a question that is not prompted by a card and spend 2 points in doing so, or you can draw a card.
I would like to know more about who Kaz works with in this mutual aid organization and what they're doing today in relation to the arrival of the train. Are they at the station preparing things? Where are they, Jeff? What's going on? Who else is there? Is Kaz alone?
Let me talk to you about Krax. Krax is
cool.
Krax, of course, spelled crack plural, not like an X or anything funny. Because Krax is a nickname. Because Krax is what he does. He cracks things.
Okay.
Krax is the guy that you call when you want a lock cracked open. Not necessarily picked, but cracked open.
Amazing. I love him.
Krax is... Nobody's really friends with Krax. Krax isn't somebody that, like... you're necessarily like friends with. You're not calling Krax on a social call. No. And frankly, Krax is fucking thrilled about that. Krax loves nothing more in his life than the fact that like we're not friends. I'm not here to hang out with you. No. I'm here because you want there's a lock that you want open and you frankly don't want the care that goes into a lock picker. You want me to crack this open probably with a bolt cutter or like a laser scalpel. Like you want me to blow up a lock. Yeah. And I'm going to do that and I'm going to feel great. Yeah. And I'm going to leave.
Yeah, I'm going to go home and I'm going to sit on the sofa with my dog and play video games. And we'll all be happy about it.
Yeah. What's my dog's name? You don't need to fucking know my dog's name.
You don't need to know.
That's for my friends and my husband. That's not for you.
All you need to know is I love my dog very much.
There's three things that you know about Krax. Loves his dog. Loves his husband. Will not tell you either's name.
Loves cracking things. That's 4 things. Bonus.
That's 4 things. That's a bonus.
That's a bonus for you. Now, don't talk to me again.
That's a bonus for you. In exchange for you shutting the fuck up and leave me alone.
Yes, I will take a cup of tea.
The way that you feel about Claire, I feel about Krax. I know this man. I love this man.
I love him too. Oh, gosh. You know what? Claire is just not going to get it. Claire is just going to keep trying to talk to him whilst he's there, cracking bolts. She's going to be offering him biscuits
It's honestly for Claire. It's gotta be as much like a way to de-stress as anything, because she suddenly is founding her station. The lock has been cracked. Somebody's been living in a flat that she didn't know existed, and like now there's a train coming, and so like she's just coping the best she can by being like, this poster was this roaster. They originally did beach getaways here, and Cracks is like, not here to chat.
You'd have loved it. Have you ever been to the beach? Oh, you should go sometime. It's really marvelous.
I've done a lot of things that I'm not going to tell you about at this moment.
Wow, is that a laser cutter? Oh, wow. You sure you don't want a rich tea?
I will take a rich tea. That sounds lovely.
You'll take a rich tea?
That sounds
excellent,
lovely.
Excellent.
Don't ask me how I take it, because that's none of your damn business. I will flavor my own tea. Thank you very much.
6 sugars, I have to assume.
Definitely does some crimes to this tea. I think that we're in a. I don't know what the crimes are, but
no, probably got a little hip flask of something, of just syrup. It's not even anything alcoholic. It's just a hip flask of syrup. Because no one will put syrup in his tea when he goes out to cafes and orders tea with syrup in. They're like,
gotta do it himself.
Look, Cracks likes tea. Cracks likes his tea.
He's got his preferences.
He has very strong opinions about things. That's Cracks.
That's Cracks.
I love Cracks.
Give me the Queen of Hearts.
The Queen of Hearts. Describe a character's appearance. I'd love it to be Cracks.
I mean, it's got to be. Like, we're in the moment.
Please.
I just rewatched. I play a lot of, like, when we're getting ready for bed, I play a lot of movie games with my wife Jen. And she I learned yesterday had never seen the movie Snatch.
Oh, okay, yes.
So I showed her the trailer to Snatch. And I forgot how much, like, visually I forgot how much I love Vinnie Jones's appearance. I forgot how much I love Vinnie Jones as a person. I forgot how much I love the look that he has. Cracks is the most Vinnie Jones character that has ever been scripted.
Perfect. Yes. Like, as soon as you said Snatch, I was like, oh, please say Vinnie Jones.
It's so Vinnie Jones. The energy is Vinnie Jones. Because, like, imagine Vinnie Jones pulling out a small flask and pouring it, and somebody being like, taking a shot of whiskey, and then he just hands them the flask, and they take a sip, and they're like, is this maple syrup? I
like the tea sweet. There's nothing wrong with that.
I like maple.
I like maple in my tea. I love maple. I love me husband. I love me dog.
That's 5 things.
That's 5 things.
And that's too many things. Good.
You know too much about Cracks, and I don't like it.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad we're on the same page. This is the energy. This is the magic.
This is it. This is the. You know what? I read this game through. I was like, this sounds great. We're going to have fun. I have no idea what we're going to create. Did not anticipate creating Cracks.
Sometimes it takes time to find the true heart of a story, and we got there.
We got there eventually, and it's Cracks.
Talk to me. I got the Jack of Hearts. Describe a character's motivations.
Ooh, a character's motivations. I feel like so far we've been quite. I think a lot of them already. It's fairly clear.
Yeah, I feel like we know Kaz's, we know Claire's, we know Cracks.
Very clear, very clear. Cracks just loves to crack things. I think maybe Dexter, as a journalist, I think her motivations are going to be. I feel like they're maybe like small-time journalist.
Sure.
It's a classic, and this would be. Is it a big scoop to get news on a train? I feel like maybe he thinks there's like a story here about government corruption or incompetence. And there's an angle that they've been working for a while. And so, but probably are doing it with, she's got talent journalistic talent, but also just a lot of enthusiasm. So he's maybe getting a little bit too much up in people's faces about this very enthusiastically, there's not much subtlety going on to their presence in the station on this day. But their motivation is just driven by a pure desire to get this, this story, to get this really good story that they've been working on for a while.
Here's what I love. Mm-hmm. I love that the more that we meet all of these characters, the more that the end result is just more people asking Cracks questions.
Oh, gosh.
It's just every layer of this is like... the addition of a character that just does not want to speak to anyone and just constantly being like, I think this character is also asking people a lot of questions.
A lot of questions, especially when they see people turn up with a laser cutter.
Yeah.
Start breaking things. Oh, yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions. I imagine Cracks sees Dexter get a camera out at one point and is like, no, don't even think about it.
No.
No, that's not going to happen.
Yes, great. Good. Read me the 10 of diamonds.
Okay, here we go. 10 of diamonds. Some trains were just added. So, the other way around. Some cars were just added to the train. Describe them, please.
Cars were added to the train. We cut to a different stop, and I love the idea. Like, this is very compelling because what this means is there's two things. So the situation that is unfolding, and this adds a very interesting angle to what we are seeing play out at our station, is that there is like a small group. This is this reflects a much larger network of people, because like I'm imagining the train is like pulling up, and I don't imagine it's necessarily stopping.
Okay.
So what I'm imagining is that like we see another station. And the train is kind of like puttering by. It's not going fast. It's not a bullet train. Like, it's a pretty slow sort of like puttering train, but it's going, in part because like if they stop for too long, they'll have opportunities to set up blockades and things. So the train is just trucking. And what I'm imagining is a group of people like, I'm going to say like, however you would do, I guess you would push it. I guess if you were to push a train car, you'd push it with one of those pump handle little like train pushers, which is great because that means that I've added a pump handle train pusher.
Amazing.
My favorite object in the world.
Amazing.
There's like, so like the train is coming by on a separate adjacent, there's a wide track. So there's a separate adjoining track, and there's there's a car, and behind that car, there's the train pusher. So people are waiting. And when the train is close by, they start aggressively pushing the train. And like the idea is that they are trying to like push it so that it brushes, it like gently touches the back of it so that somebody can hit a hammer, lock down the latch between train cars, and attach it while the train car is moving.
Amazing.
So like it is an operation where like as it passes by stations with like added with like new letters and food stuff and maybe stolen goods, maybe not stolen goods, but like whatever this mutual aid thing is bringing to people that really need it, like they are like, we are putting this on the train car. We are not stopping the train car to do it. We are attaching that car on the move, and suddenly the train is one car larger.
Amazing. Yeah.
And I love about this is like, this is such an oiled operation that our train station being overrun by, like, as we were just describing, being overrun by like joyful people just kind of poking around asking questions, like adds such a fun energy of like, this is an operation, this is a network, this is a well-oiled machine designed to support people in a society that is kind of ruthlessly unsupportive of people and is performing sort of violence by way of unsupport. And here, like, in this moment where this operation is unfolding, present is not necessarily strictly like the people that are organizing this. It's just people that happen to be present at this space at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you've got the people who are working on it, but you're always going to have people who've just turned up just to watch or just incidentally there, just happened to be in the neighborhood, thought they were opening the gift shop today. Yeah, I love that.
I really adore it.
Oh, and I love the idea of just who they'll have had to call on to be like, hey, how do we attach a car to a moving train? Surely someone in this area knows how. And it'll be like, oh yeah, my great uncle, I think he'll know what to do. And so just the thought of who will have been at that other station organizing all this together. That's very cool.
I like that. I really enjoy that. Let me ask you the next question.
Okay.
I gotta ask a question and also provide an important side note.
Okay.
The question is the 6 of spades. What part of the train is not functional? The thing that has disarmed me is the cards that I am using is a public domain comic book art playing card deck.
Okay.
So it's just like I bought it for a superhero game and it was the closest deck of cards I had on hand. But like each card, it has on it like a piece of old public domain superhero art.
Cool.
And the only thing I can do is describe what I am looking at, which is the Grim Reaper ripping open his robe.
Okay.
To reveal a skeleton and saying, "Behold, do you believe now that I am death?" And then from off panel, a word bubble that says, "Holy moly!" This is unrelated to the game that we're playing, but I wanted you to experience the playing card that I have been. If you to explain the reaction I had when I saw the card of just holy moly, okay,
holy moly! I just love the idea of just like it being like Robin being like, "You're wearing a mask, mate," and he's like, "No, I'm death," and he's like, "No, "You're wearing a mask." He's like, let me just show you my whole torso.
Yeah,
I am death.
Oh,
holy
and not
moly.
just to be clear, not the whole torso. It is from knees to skull. Like this is a whole ass skeleton.
Wow.
Holy moly.
Let me show you, mate. Holy moly.
What part of the train is not functional?
Oh, what part of the train is not functional? I'm going to say, now I don't understand, like, let's just, fudge the engineering on this. I'm going to say it's an old steam train that's been retrofitted to run electrically.
Sure.
So I'm going to say it's got the pipe for the steam. It's got a whole, coal engine for shoveling coal into and burning, but none of that functions anymore. And instead, it's been modified somehow. It's a fantasy game to run electrically instead.
Another immaculate card draw. Read me the Jack of Spades.
Jack of Spades. Describe the train's motion.
What a perfect follow-up.
Yeah.
Stressful is the word I'm going to apply to it. Like, it's like, it moves, it's steady, but it's janky. Like, it putters. It kind of, like, is moving, and there's these shudders and stops. And, like, I'm thinking about, we have trolleys in Philly. In my neighborhood, like we have cable trolleys that run along, and sometimes they just kind of shudder and like the lights flicker and like they kind of stop for they stop for a second, and like it's not always the steadiest ride. And I think in this moment where the stakes are high, there's this real sense of like, is this thing gonna continue to truck along? And but it's but also steady at the same time. Like it's going, but it's struggling just enough where the question of is it going to make it is on the table.
I imagine there's a thought that like now it's going, it's moving. Let's not stop it until we get there, and then we can sort any problems out. Because once it's stopped, we're not entirely sure it'll keep going again or get going again. Yeah. But it's going. It's a beast. She's moving.
She's moving.
She's shaking. She's not happy about it, but she's moving. I love it.
Give me the, or rather, I'm going to ask you. The Jack of Diamonds. Describe a misunderstanding about the station or train.
Oh, interesting. I think I would like to introduce a local busybody. who's not as bad. We're not, talking levels of the Peterson
Sure.
Inc., but just a local person who doesn't really understand what's going on and is now seeing I'm going to make this a misunderstanding about the train specifically, is now seeing a bunch of people messing around at the station and things happening, and is also going to be coming over probably and asking some unwanted questions. And I'm going to say, you know what? There might also be that. Maybe I'll make this like a neighbor of Claire's, someone in the same block who also sort of remembers. Also remembers the train from the old times, but is a bit less sort of involved, a bit more crotchety. And so has just come to sort of make sure no one's causing trouble, make sure that Marek isn't messing around on their skateboard again. And I'm going to say that their name is Anthony Georgios. They. So he's also of a certain age. He also sort of remembers the trains, but he's not been volunteering at the station. He lives quite a quiet life. He does know who Claire is, but they're not best friends. They're just sort of passing nods to each other as they see each other in the neighborhood. But he's heard that a train is coming in and it's going to ruin everything that they're bringing in. He's maybe heard that they're bringing in construction supplies to start changing the station, and he's not happy about that.
I love that. I adore that. Give me the King of Diamonds.
The king. Oh, add an adjective to the train, the station, or a character.
Do I want to make a new character or add an adjective to one of... I want to add an adjective to an existing character.
Amazing.
I think I want to add an adjective to Anthony. And I think the adjective is curmudgeonly.
You know what? I thought that was the word you were going to say. It just flashed into my mind right as you said it. That's so good.
Anthony is known for raising a stink.
Yes.
I think everybody in this neighborhood, I think in the sort of Guy Ritchie vein of Kaz sees Anthony show up and start poking around, and there's just a close up on Kaz's face, okay, here we go.
Yeah. Put on that big smile for dealing with Anthony, and let's go outside. Anthony, how are you doing today? How can I help you?
I'm picturing a lot of rapping things with his pipe.
Yeah.
A lot of tapping things with a pipe, and they're like, this is wrong. I don't like this.
I don't like this.
Nope.
I don't like this. Also, did you know kids have been playing ball games on the square again?
Don't like it. Don't like it one bit.
Don't like it one bit. There was a party down my street the other week. Don't like that either. What is this place going to? It's going to the dogs. I don't enjoy this. What's that young man doing over there? Excuse me, sir.
Can I describe to you the moment that has popped in my head that is the funniest thing that I could possibly imagine? All
please.
I can imagine is Anthony standing on the sides saying all of these things while Cracks is blowing up a lot, and Cracks there was a party on my block, didn't like that, too loud. I agree, too loud. The only friendship that is offered is just the two of them going, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I don't like that. Yeah, mate, I get it. I don't like that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. No?
Too loud. Making people part of their business. I don't like it.
My neighbor always cooks pancakes on a Sunday morning and I can smell it. I don't like it. I hate it.
You know what? Leave your smells to yourself. Leave your smells to yourself.
Leave your smells to yourself. Yeah, amazing. It's true. The only person he's connected with. Correct.
Maple syrup tea. Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, mate. Beautiful.
They never offer the maple syrup when I get my tea at the diner. They never offer it.
Oh, yeah. Hate that. The diner, terrible. Used to be good. Now, the prices, have you seen them?
Downhill.
Prices up, quality down. And it's so full of young children nowadays.
No, the young don't get me started on the young children. Don't get me started on the young children.
When I was a lad, I knew not to go messing around in the diner. Why don't they go play in the countryside?
The countryside is so open.
It's so open. Yeah. Amazing.
It's so funny.
I love this little bonding. I imagine at some point Crax is going to go around and like do a few odd jobs for Anthony, and they'll just like in absolute silence, they'll just sort of say morning to each other, and then he'll come in and like, retile his kitchen or something and then leave.
I love this. I adore this. So after what is honestly an impressive amount of time, we have drawn the second ace.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That has been so many cards between aces.
Yeah.
So take 3 points. This is the ace of clubs.
Okay.
Has this place always been a train station?
I'm going to say yes. I feel like this was built such a long time ago that it was built expressly to be a train station. There might have been a smaller one in its spot originally, like just sort of more of a lean-to situation. But I feel like I'm seeing like a classic sort of, Georgian or Victorian train station hall here that was built out of beautiful, like limestone and all red brick. I could go either way. And it was built expressly to be a train station. And that's why it's so beautiful in its sort of worn down old way. But it was made to be a train station. But it was not made to be a train station in this century.
I love that. I love that. So I am thinking this is Jeff half counting cards and half tempting fate. I'm thinking we go for one more card and then we kick into endgame.
Perfect. That's good.
So give me the King of Spades.
Here we go. King of Spades. Describe the train with an adjective.
Graffitied. A lot of tags, a lot of like, one of the cars has a little bit of like a spray painted mural on it. This is a car. This is specifically like a train car that was taken and modified in part because it had sat on the train yard for so long that it had just been sort of neglected. Like it's kind of consciously, it's a little bit of an act of political. It's a little bit political. It's a little bit artistic. It's a little bit practical we took a train that clearly no one was going to miss. But it's clearly a sense of, this car's visually, you cannot miss this train. You cannot, this particular train. And I think they've leaned into that sense as they've gone with it.
Cool. Very cool.
We've got the 3 of Spades. Where's the train bound after the station?
3 of Spades. Ooh, interesting. I think because it's have we determined the main purpose of the train? I feel like we've pulled some threads there we've
talked about it bringing things, me, but we haven't really been specific about it, whether it's mail or food or something else entirely. If there's something specific, if you want to zero in on it, this is we can do that.
I feel like whatever it's bringing, it's coming from somewhere that has something particularly useful and important. And the idea is going to be that for some reason is not getting into this one area. And I think what they're planning to do is to shuttle this train backwards and forwards as much as possible.
Sure.
This is one big maiden journey that's going to be iconic, and maybe even with the idea of picking a train that's picking a train car, train cars that are unmissable and unmistakable, that this is going to be like an iconic journey that is going to maybe draw some attention. Maybe the idea of having journalists there isn't such a bad idea. But what their aim at the moment is to get the train here, unload it, and then turn it round and send it straight back to go get more of whatever it's bringing.
I love that. I really love that. Ask me the 2 of Diamonds.
Oh, where does the train begin? It's no, that's the 2 of spades. I thought that would have been very prophetic. 2 of diamonds, great. Oh, it's a train progression card.
Okay, that means
There we go.
That means we are kicking into endgame.
Right. So something dramatic happened to the train. What was it?
This is, I think, where the genre of story changes dramatically before we introduce the end game. Because I think, like, the train is puttering along, and I think, like, that right as it's, like, it's moments before it reaches the station, because it is going to reach the station. It has broken through a police barricade. In a way that the train moving at the speed it was moving is a little bit shocking, but like there's a sense of it just didn't stop. Like it just they had identified where the train was going. They knew the station it was going to be at, and they tried to stop it before it got there. Train just didn't stop and plowed through the barricade and is now on its way. It is damaged. It is puttering along, but like
wow.
As the train arrives, it is arriving like dragging a roadblock, and sparks are flying, and it is smoking and smoldering, but like it is puttering along at the same speed that it has always been puttering along as it arrives at the station, and we end the game.
Amazing. That's such a good dramatic note. Oh.
The train arrives, and now we take one final moment. When we look at the number of points that we have, I have 3 and you have...
I have 7. Did you take an extra 3 for that last train progression card?
So I have 6. I have 6 and you have 7. I have 6 and you have 7. We can look at all of the characters. We look at our pool of points, and we, in no particular order, we decide how many points we want to spend and what we want to happen. There's a list of things that we can do. We can each ask clarifying questions. But in short, we can spend 5 points to fully resolve a character's story, narrating the character as the train arrives, and as much as what happens afterwards as we want. For 3 points, we can resolve a character's story in a positive way, but only as much as is relevant to the train arriving at the station. For 1 point, we can give a character an unresolved or an unhappy but resolved ending.
Okay.
And for no points, if no points are spent on a character, then no more is known about them. They get no resolution and no finality.
Wow.
So we have to spend points on characters to determine what happens to them next. Otherwise, we leave them behind.
Brutal. Okay.
I'm looking at my character list. To recap, we've got the train and the station.
Yeah.
We have Dexter Thomas, small-time journalist with a lot of enthusiasm. We have Anthony Georgios, a curmudgeonly neighbor who is poking around complaining. We have Kaz Rex, who is the representative of a local mutual aid organization that is receiving a shipment of goods from this train. There is Merrick, a bored teenager doing skate tricks around the station. There's Claire Bartholomew, who is the sort of manager / caretaker of this particular station and its sort of accompanying museum. And we have Cracks. Who's Cracks?
Who's Cracks?
You don't need to know more than that.
Cracks.
Stop asking questions. What are you,
Stop
a cop?
asking questions. Yeah. What do you want to know for, mate? You a pig?
Yeah.
You a pig, mate? What are you after, eh? You've got to tell me if you are. You're not? All right.
Always
I'm still
asking
not answering your
questions. Always asking questions, these types.
I hate it. I hate it. I don't like it. It's just Anthony in the background just nodding. Like,
Yeah. I don't like it. Too many questions, these
Too
ones.
many questions. Just tapping his pipe on everything he can see. I don't like it.
And then immediately also begins asking questions, to be clear.
Yeah. Oh, right. Well.
What do I want to spend my points on? I think I'm going to spend 3 points to give Kaz... I think Kaz is nowhere to be seen when the train arrives.
Okay.
I think boxes are being unloaded, and I think anybody looking around for Kaz is not going to find them because he is already for as much as this as the moments before this train arrived had been a little bit of a cluster with people showing up and things, when the train arrives, Kaz gets to work. And he is off of the scene, he is unloading boxes. They are doing what they do, and they are as much a phantom in this space of putting things where they need to go and coordinating and talking to people and giving direction as they are a physical entity. And there is a reason that Kaz has this apartment. There's a reason why Claire didn't know that Kaz had this apartment. And there's a reason why Kaz is trusted with this operation. And it's because when the train arrives, it operates it is a smooth operation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. Amazing. I'm tempted to go big and spend a full 5 points.
I mean, I think it's I'd say if you're feeling it, go for it.
Yeah, and as much as Dexter is very cool, it's more the possibilities of their story that is appealing to me, resolving it. I think I will. I'm going to go and spend... sorry, Claire. I'm going to go spend a full 5 points on resolving Dexter's story. I think Dexter is there when the train arrives, is jotting things down, is getting good information out of people by just being super persistent, talking to everyone, piecing things together about what's going on, what they're bringing, which is just really important. I don't want to pin it down into one specific item, but things that this community and local people here have been denied access to at affordable costs, I think. And Dexter gets all this great information, all this great story, and speaks to local residents and creates a news article, because they're the first person on this scene, gets a really nice photograph as well of people emptying this train, and it's staged really nicely, where it's a real array of all the local people, of different ages in this from these local areas, and writes up a story that really makes the rounds and really draws attention. This is what I want. It's because I'm going to spend the full 5 points because I would like something good to come out of this. Yeah. I want this story to make a difference. So Dexter is there, and I'm not going to say it changes everything for the better and the city is now perfect, but definitely at least this area sees a change in policy, which means that they get, I think the organization gets, there's such a public uproar in favor of this train service that they decide to give them official funding and approval, so at least they can get away with doing it for a bit longer. I might have gone a bit beyond my 5 points there.
No, that's 5 points. That's the nature of that's the 5 points spent.
That's
I'm looking at my 3 points left, and I'm like, I could give 3 people sad endings, or one for somebody a contained happy ending.
Yeah,
and I know exactly what I want my contained happy ending to be.
Please.
As Dexter is capturing all of this reporting, unprompted, random, they do capture footage of Merrick not being bored, because Merrick has in fact been waiting for this train to arrive to do a sick jump over the train. Merrick lands the jump over the train, and then it's just gone, and then just leaves. But they got what they wanted out of that moment.
Amazing.
They were waiting to do a sick skateboard stunt.
Fantastic. And that
really
also goes
epic.
viral. And absolutely.
And if you ask them about it a week later, if you ask them about it even later that night, they're like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Fine.
I did it. Fun.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Down camp. I don't know. I was bored.
Yeah, I was, to be honest, it was just something to do.
That felt like the right place to spend my three remaining points.
That was superb. Well, the thing is, I've got 2 points left, but I don't want to give anyone a particularly unhappy ending.
We can just
Maybe I will lean. I think the flip side maybe of this station getting official approval and this project getting, at least some sort of official government sanction is that the government decides to take over the running of the museum.
That feels good.
Yeah, so I'm going to put 1 point into saying that Claire is unfortunately told, thank you so much for all your help over the years, but we will no longer be requiring a volunteer. The station museum is going to be run by the local government now with a full-time employee. And how long that continues for, I don't know. And how much the employee's there to keep an eye on what's going on at the station is also unclear. But yeah, unfortunately, Claire is given a certificate of thanks and told, please go find another hobby. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. Poor Claire.
And
she steals one of those posters on her way out.
Oh, for sure. I would love to. I know that you've got 1 point left.
Yeah,
but
go on.
I would love to. Well, I would love to end on giving a character 0 points by choice. I know that's not technically, but I do think.
I'm good.
For lack of a better way to put it, I feel like Krax almost looks at the camera and says, "You want a resolution? You want resolution? You want an ending to my? I didn't ask. I didn't. No. I don't want that.
What?
I'm good. I don't want that. Krax, you don't get resolution.
Krax lives forever.
You want to know what happens next to Krax? Too bad.
Too bad.
I'm going
Maybe
home.
I'll be there. Maybe you'll be walking around at the city at night, and I'll be there. Maybe you'll be sitting in a cafe. You'll look across. We'll match. Our eyes will meet. That's me. I'm there. Maybe, but I'm not going to tell you. That's up to me. That's up to Krax. Krax knows Krax's future, not you. No more questions.
Good on you. Good on you. Good on you.
Lad.
Take ownership.
Good on you. I hate it when people ask for a resolution.
Too much resolution these days. I
Too
don't
much
like
resolution.
it. I don't care for it.
I don't care for it, and I don't like it. Krax out, and he just sort of walks away.
Perfect ending.
Yeah.
Perfect ending.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for playing this with me. What was your favorite moment from play?
Krax. I live for Krax now.
I live for Krax.
Krax is life.
Good.
Yeah, Krax is who I want to be, honestly. To just have that level of confidence and willingness to not just live your life and do what you love doing and not need any external
He really did find his calling, and good for him.
He really did. Yeah, Krax. The whole thing was great. It was just, it's lovely to create little worlds like this and piece them together and just tie little strings and pull them all together and create one little story. So I love the whole process, but so good.
Likewise, the characters and they're like, it just is a really magical moment to sit in this space for a little while. And the fact that there was kind of a stressful, exciting situation unfolding, but also zeroing in on the very mundane pieces of that.
Yes, that's what I love.
Was very, very satisfying. It was very satisfying to not get swept up in the drama of the delivery and the truck, and just kind of also just get the time to be this is a tiny little rail station, and people care about that, and it's just. It's
People
just magical.
skateboard off the roof, as they do.
It's really just magical.
Yeah, it's finding the magic in the mundane for me is just so interesting.
So, real quick before we wrap up, where can people find you and your work online?
Well, I don't really use social media at the moment, but we do have social media for the podcasts that I am on, so I will tell you about those instead. They are at Roll Plus Heart, so roll like the roll of a dice, on, I believe, most social media platforms, and at Quest Fantastic. And you can find all about the podcast that I do there. And as for me personally, I'm like Krax. You don't get to know where to find me.
I like this. I love this. Look, that's 2024. We're living our Krax
2024. That's honestly inspirational, Krax. Inspirational.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely magical. For now,
superb.
I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, past me, and thanks again to Jen for coming on to the show. That That was magnificent. That was everything that I love about role-playing games and storytelling and just really wonderful one-on-one personal experiences. That game was something special. Be sure to head to the show notes or head to pidge.itch.io to pick up your own copy of the station, and be sure to check out Roll Plus Heart at rollplusheart.co.uk or wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to follow the show on social media at Roll Plus Heart.
You can also find us on pretty much whichever social media you prefer at Party of One Pod or Jeff Stormer, depending.
And if you enjoy the show and you want to support it, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Subscribe to our newsletter at buttondown.email/partyofonepodcast and join our Discord community at bit.ly/partyofonediscord. You can support us financially at patreon.com/JeffStormer or ko-fi.com/JeffStormer. You can give us a nice iTunes review, shout us out to a friend, give us some love on social media. You can buy some Party of One merch at bit.ly/partyofonemerch. Or if you're looking for more great podcast content, you can check out All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world building podcast that I make with my best friend in the world, Aaron Catano Saez. We take a listener submitted prompt and spin it into an original fantasy character, populating a shared universe one story at a time. You can also check out Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, which is an actual play about a heartless witch, a cozy house, and the many people making their homes inside. Both of those you can find wherever you get your podcasts. Party of One is, as always, produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. Music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming on the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And unless I am mistaken, that is all we do here. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.
Never gonna die. No, we're never gonna die. You can hear my words in this song. It'll play on after I'm gone.
Oi, fuck you still doing here? You want some fun little post-credits, is it? That's not how Cracks operates. Fuck out of here.
Always wanting post-credits, these ones. It's annoying. I don't
That's
like
exactly right. I think it's annoying. I think it's obnoxious.
Let a story be done. That's what I say.